What solves overwhelm? What creates a clear path? That's our conversation today on the podcast. Let's jump in. 𝗩𝗶𝗀𝗀 Neal here with the Business Coaching Success Podcast. So glad you're here, where I share with you strategies, tools, and tips to be able to grow your business coaching practice to six figures and beyond as a Christian business coach. Let's jump in. Welcome. Glad that you are here. And I hope to encourage you today in your journey, regardless if you're on our coaching team, you've been coaching with us for a while. There's obviously different levels and different seasons of coaching, just like there is in life. Or perhaps you're taking a look at our done-for-you resources and our entire platform, systems, and community. Regardless of where you are in your coaching journey, just like building anything, you can easily get overwhelmed. You can easily do too many things, and you can easily get distracted by shiny objects, new things because you saw someone do something and, hey, I can do that too. You get an idea from maybe something you saw on social media, whatever. And on one week, we're working on one thing. The next week, we're working on another. The next week, another. And over time, we get overwhelmed. Over time, it just feels like nothing's moving forward. Over time, it feels like, I did this and I did that, but it seemed to not work. What solves all those things? And it's one word, and it's process. And believe it or not, process equals freedom every single time. I've told this story many times years ago, and I tell this story over and over. It's a reminder for me, number one, because by the way, every part of the journey of building, you run risk of getting overwhelmed and not following a process for a lot of different variables. And we're all wired differently, right? And so some people are able to address processes better than others just because of your natural gift mix and your wirings. Now, my personal natural gift mix is not to be, I'm a vision guy, ideas, big thinker, whatever. And so details and specificity are work. There's arduous. So I have to be ultra disciplined to follow a process because it's not my natural thing. I'm much more of a free bird. So my story, back in the 90s, we had our second business, I believe it was. And it was a retail store. And the point of it is I'll never forget driving in one day, and I barely got there to get the store opened. When I say barely meaning like people are waiting outside the door, super unprofessional. But I recall this weird thought, and so, it's so funny to me, the things that we remember years later. I'm like, golly, man, I can't believe all these people have to, drive in to work at 7, 8:30 in the morning. There's no way I could do that. But again, immature thought. I was very young. And over the years, though, two things started to happen. One, pain started to rise because of the lack of process. Number two, I was never getting where I needed to go and wanted to go because of the lack of process. And I began to watch others actually excel and get somewhere because of process. And so over time, I began to recognize, wait a minute, there's a pattern here. I mean, when you look at successful people, and you should be asking the question, well, what are they doing? And when you start to see that they're doing a number of things that you're not doing, that is a wake-up flag. You know what I mean? Like that should kind of shake you a little bit. So 3 things I just want to kind of encourage you with, again, regardless of where you are on your journey. And by the way, if you are taking a peek at our done-for-you system, or you're interested, you are curious about it or whatever, you had this idea, this calling, this kind of mindset, you love coaching people, maybe you've coached some people for free, but this idea of helping businesses grow their marketing, their revenues, their profits, their leadership, but you don't have the resources and tools, and you're curious, what is a done-for-you system like? Just simply go to businesscoachmastery.com. That's businesscoachmastery.com, and you can get some information there. We have a document and a video there you can review. We'll show you exactly what we do and to see if it's the right fit to learn more for you or not. So 3 areas I want you to consider regardless if you're just starting out, you're thinking about it, or you've been coaching for a decade. And by the way, even for those of you that are already on the coaching journey, you're 6 months in or 6 years in. When you have these different levels, and we'll use the income and client load as an example. So let's say that level number 1, I've got 1 client, $2,000 a month. Level number 2, I've got 5 clients, I'm making $10,000 a month. Level number 3, I've got 8+ clients and I'm doing, north of $15,000 or so per month. Whatever the numbers are, and everybody's numbers are different. And by the way, if you're curious, the average that a coach charges for one-on-one coaching is $2,000. That's set aside. When you begin to move up the different levels, here's some things that happens. Number 1, your mindset will shift because you're learning new things. You're interacting with new people all the time. You're seeing things from a perspective that you just haven't had before, and it allows you to expand. And your brain, by the way God created you and the way God created me, we have, if I can say the word correctly, our brain is kind of made of elasticity. Is that the right way you say it? I'm looking over here as if someone's standing here. They're not. Elasticity. I don't think I'm saying it right. I'm having one of those little brain moments. I'm like, I can see the word, but anyway, you get my point. And it literally is that you can mold and shape your brain. Typically, that happens elasticity. Is that how you say it? I'm going to let go of it. But typically it happens based upon how you think. Okay? So if we are unintentional, we're going to be overwhelmed and the brain begins to shape differently. And you can go look it up if you don't believe me. Ask ChatGPT. Go Google it if you'd like to. But you can look at that and go, well, I would like the healthiest mind possible. Well, that requires not a new book. That requires not a new a career even. It requires discipline. Truly, it requires discipline. And so when we begin to be disciplined about how we're processing our days, our weeks, our months, quarter, whatever, our brain literally will shape itself differently because of our intention and because that's the way God created the human body. Okay? So what does that mean? It means that you are in control. If you feel like you're out of control, it's because that you're not disciplined enough. I'm not disciplined enough to get control. You may say, I struggle to focus. By the way, so do I. That's one of the challenges. Not a downside. It's just a challenge and a reality that when you're an ideas person like I am, and maybe you are, maybe you're not, man, you're constantly inundated with new thought. You talk about the challenge to be focused. So anyways, that's what we have to be disciplined with our actions, with our thoughts, and our direction. Otherwise, it's just going to happen to you. So there's 3 things I'm just going to help you why process matters to success in developing a business coaching business. All right, I'm going to try to get, speaking of focus, I want to try to get refocused. Started to ramble a little bit, but that's okay. I'm passionate about this subject and this topic, really from a personal perspective as well. But number 1, process prevents randomness. Okay? What does that mean? When you don't have a system, when you don't have a structure, every day you run risk of it like feeling like a reset. So like when you get up in the morning, it's like, all right, what should I focus on today? Like if that's a question, that means you're falling likely to the tyranny of the urgent, meaning whatever's just kind of in front of you, and you're not walking through a driven, purposeful plan. So let me kind of break it down in a couple of different ways. If you're a brand new coach, when I say brand new, like you're brand spanking new, we have to follow a predefined process, which in our coaching system, we have a step 1, step 2, step 3 kind of version of doing that very thing. But you got to follow it. And by the way, sometimes coaches don't, and they get frustrated. They get overwhelmed. Why? They took a left turn when we said go straight or take a right turn. That's why a process prevents this idea of like, what should I do today? And we want to solve that. So step number 1 is, let's just say that, we have, and I'm holding up, if you're listening, I'm holding up a sheet of paper here. If I've got a plan on paper, and it's got the steps and the order, then that needs to be followed well before and or more new ideas or any types of other thought step in to rob me of my structure and the process that's already been predefined. Now, whether you go and predefine your own or you work with someone like us who already has it predefined for you, you got to be disciplined to follow it. Otherwise, we run into randomness. Monday's different than Tuesday, that's different than Thursday, Friday, and so on. Week goes by, you look back at the week, and you're just like, I'm not even sure what I did. That's because you didn't follow any kind of process. So that's for a new coach. If you're an existing coach, you've got 2 or 3 clients, the process changes and shifts, but there's still a process. So here's like, for instance, I don't care how many clients that you have, you still need to have functionality in building and continuing to add to your network. Whether you want to call it lead generation, relationship building, call it whatever you want, but that should be a plan. So if you don't, then your randomness is going to shrink your network and you won't have exposure to new additional conversations that you are going to have to either A, add to more clients or one day replace one that you have or whatever. And so when you have a process to continue to help you define what it is to build new relationships, it's going to help you stay on track. And then we just have to have the discipline to stay on that track. Second thing, this is a big one. Process solves more than talent ever will. Let me say it again. Process solves more than talent ever will. For many years, earlier in my career, I did a lot of sales training and coaching with salespeople. And I saw it day in and day out. You had those individuals who had natural gift mix and skill sets in building a relationship, adding value, solving problems to get clients. And then you had those who did not have a naturally wired gift mix for the same set of skill. However, even those that had high talent, when they didn't follow a process and they were just random, like they didn't know Monday from Friday. They couldn't keep up with CRM data. They couldn't fill out a spreadsheet correctly, but they were excellent with relationship building. Okay, versus those who may have, their natural talent wasn't near as good, but they were very good, or at least they were more disciplined. Is a better term. They were more disciplined in following a plan. Call these many people today. Go to that networking function. Do this, do that, a day in and day out, follow this process, update your CRM. Like when we would do that, we saw it every single time. Those who followed a process, more than not, they were the winners versus the talented people that were aloof. What does that mean to you and me? It is what it is. Now, I will tell you early on, I felt like a process gave me a straitjacket because, again, I'm more of a free spirit. And over the last 30 years, I've learned to understand the value of how process actually gives you freedom. And you may say, well, you keep saying this term freedom. Well, do you want to be in bondage to constantly being overwhelmed? Do you want to wake up 3 months down the road and you don't see the efforts of your time and energy? Well, that's being shackled and just pent up and caught and feeling overwhelmed and doomed, if you will. The freedom is because I'm following a plan, I know exactly what I'm doing. Now, that doesn't mean that your plans always work perfectly at all. It just means that the overwhelm's reduced, anxiety is reduced, output is increased, and you're able to pinpoint challenges and problems and actually work on them because I'm clear on the plan and the path because I'm following it. But you can't run the risk that I did where you see it as a straitjacket and handcuffing you into having to just be so driven to a plan and there's just no room to roam about the country. No, I still give myself plenty of time to do that. But my idea times are typically, scheduled, if you will, not to be like I can't breathe and every single moment's accounted for. I don't know that a lot of people could do it that way, but I'm still following a plan. So some days that plan is today's just not going to be a day where I'm going to be critical about the calendar. Where other days it is like 8 a.m. is this, 9 a.m. is that, 10 a.m. And I'm okay with that because that's a part of my plan. Now, you may do that differently, which is totally cool. You get to make that choice. Third thing, process protects you from burnout. Process protects you from burnout. I'll tell you just firsthand for me, again, going back to the fact that I'm idea-driven, if I'm not careful as I build my own business, and it's just so easy today with technology and tools and being able to work with Zoom and whatnot. There's a lot of things that you can do, and the more that you do, you water yourself down, and it can get very, very challenging. And I'm susceptible of that because I see somebody doing a new way of communicating, or a new tool, an AI tool that they're using or whatever. I'm like, ooh, I can do that too. But I've already made a commitment on all this other stuff. And right now, to be very transparent, I'm in a season where I'm having to really dial back a little bit on some of the things that I made a commitment to this year because I'm doing too many things. And when you aren't, what does that mean? I'm coloring outside the lines, meaning I'm not following the original process that I created, that I prayed about, that I spent time thinking through because I got distracted by new tools. And this is super normal, by the way. And that's the cool thing about a process, is that it allows you to get back on track. But when you don't have that process at all, you think about if you're driving down the road, and this past weekend, me and my two older boys, we went to Denver, Colorado to see the Broncos play the Titans. And one of the days we went and drove to the mountains. So you have this, windy, super windy road. Big mountains, lots of free range, whatever, yet there were 2 lanes that I had to keep that vehicle in between a solid line and a dotted line, sometimes a solid and a solid line, right? And because there were these 2 lanes, even if I had gone wrong, I have the option of getting back on track to the process to take me from where we were to where we were going. So when you don't have that process, if the lanes weren't there, easy to get lost. And when you don't have that process there, that's what that overwhelm and anxiety just kind of blows up and increases at a ridiculous level. And that's what helps aid burnout. And the burnout often comes too because things aren't working. They're not working because you're not following a plan. You're not following a process. And that burnout then leads to exhaustion. And oftentimes that exhaustion leads to blame. And it's just this really negative cyclical thing that happens to us that really can kind of torpedo our entire purpose of where we're trying to head to. Bottom line, if you want momentum, if you want freedom, then you must build process into your workflow. And your goals are your goals. You may only want 2 clients. You may want 20, right? Those number of variables are going to obviously change the process. You may not like to do workshops. You may love to do workshops. That's going to change your process. Regardless, and I'll leave you with this. There's 3 areas. There's 3 areas that you have to solve in business coaching, which we talk about all the time. Number 1, where do I build relationships and add value, leads and prospects? Number 2, how do I convert some of those leads and prospects into ongoing high-paying monthly clients? And the 3rd, how do I coach my clients to get results with simplicity? That's it. Everything that you do as a coach will fall underneath, or should at least, those 3 areas. So you got to have a process and a plan for each and every one of those areas, okay? Process is not a prison. It is your path to freedom. Until next time, take care.